Heading into this upcoming regular season, it definitely seems like, of course, the New York Rangers want to get back on track to being a playoff caliber team. They definitely want to make the playoffs. And, of course, I would imagine definitely want to try and go on a bit of a playoff run as well. But, of course, if they don't get off to a great start, kind of like they did last season where they had a decent little start there at the very beginning, but then things fell off pretty quickly and took a turn for the worst very fast, and things just got worse and worse and worse as the season kind of got along there. And then eventually things started to look a little better near the end of the season, but it really just ultimately was a complete failure of a season, start to finish, really, for the Rangers, as they did not even make playoffs after, originally the season before that, making it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals and losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champions in the Florida Panthers. But we've got some trade news to take a look at here, as David Pagnotta, an NHL insider, did come out and talked about how the New York Rangers, if they do get off to a bit of a slow start possibly, may look to trade away their superstar forward in Artemi Panarin, as he, of course, is entering the final season of his massive 7-year deal that he did sign as a free agent, of course, after leaving the Columbus Blue Jackets. He signed a $11.642 million cap at over 7 years with the Rangers in free agency, but that deal will come to an end after this upcoming season. So the Rangers are definitely going to have a pretty big question to answer, and that's whether or not they will, either decide to trade him away or possibly re-sign him. They should not look to obviously let him walk away in free agency. If they were letting him walk and then were able to, theoretically sign some other superstar, then I guess that could make sense. But that's the only real kind of options there. You're either trading him away, you're re-signing him, or you're letting him walk to sign a different superstar. Those are the three real only options. If you let him walk away for nothing and you're not replacing him with a superstar in free agency, then I think that would be obviously a pretty massive loss. But let's take a look at the Yardbarker article, where they go on to say, NHL insider David Pagnotta hinted that the Rangers could look to deal star winger Artemi Panarin if the team were to get off to a slow start. If New York gets off to a slow start, the front office could look to move some of the key players. Quote, "The guy I'm really curious about with the Rangers is Artemi Panarin. Final year of his deal, what's going to happen to him? His future in the Big Apple, if they get off to a hot start, does that change their mindset in terms of trying to now add to this group to get back on track? And they rebound quickly after a disappointing, very, very disappointing season last year, as you said. Or if it's status quo, do they start to get a head start on trade discussions involving Panarin, who also has no trade protection? But with the way that the team has obviously been going, and even with that owner wanting that team and his team to be consistently competitive, they're going to have to take a look at that possibility," Pagnotta said. And for me, I think this is definitely the biggest question right now surrounding the New York Rangers, as this isn't just some ordinary kind of good player on the Rangers, right? This is the team's top point producer over the last 6 seasons consecutively. So he's not just some kind of good player for this team. He is the top offensive threat year after year. So losing him would not just mean you're losing one of your better players, you're losing your top offensive threat. So if you're not able to kind of replace that with a true superstar offensively, then you're possibly putting this team in a pretty bad spot and kind of seeing them regress quite a bit. So I think that is why what their kind of decision with Panarin is going to be will have a massive impact on this team for not only this upcoming season there, but especially in the future going forward, because there are some big kind of factors that go into either re-signing him or trading him away or letting him walk. So now let's kind of take a look at some of the reasons for trading him away and not re-signing him, and then we'll take a look at some reasons kind of for keeping him and re-signing him after that. So let's start off here by taking a look at what kind of a haul the New York Rangers could kind of possibly get back in return, and I'm going to be honest, it would be a pretty massive haul back. If you take a look at what someone like a Brock Nelson fetched back in return at this past trade deadline as a rental for the New York Islanders, I think it's pretty incredible there. So obviously, a guy like Panarin will be able to get back even more, I would imagine, because he is a more valuable player. And, Brock was a rental, so will Panarin in this kind of scenario. So they're both, expiring deals. And, of course, Brock is a center, so it's a little different. But Panarin is just an overall better player, so I'm sure he would get back more in return. But Brock still ended up getting back a very good package for the Islanders himself. They ended up sending the Colorado Avalanche over to the Islanders Oliver Shillington, just kind of a body there, just NHL kind of defenseman, nothing too valuable. But the main pieces being Callum Ritchie, their top prospect, a former first-round pick, a very good, valuable prospect, and a 2026 conditional first-round pick and a conditional third-round pick in 2028 for Brock, just as a rental. So I think that goes to show that even though Panarin, yes, would be, heading into is kind of the last year of his deal being a rental, of course, at this kind of trade deadline, hypothetically, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't be able to get back a great return. You'd be able to get back more than this kind of value, I'm sure, for someone like an Artemi Panarin. So you're looking at like 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, at least in value, coming back basically in return for Panarin as a rental. So yeah, you might not be getting back some superstar and a young player in a deal, probably, obviously, with him being, rental, of course, but you'd still be able to get back some kind of future promising pieces, possibly with some potential. So I think, obviously, this isn't the ideal scenario because that means the Rangers are probably in a pretty bad spot there and they've had a terrible start to the season there and they're probably not looking like they're going to make playoffs. So if they are in this scenario, it's not going to be great for us Rangers fans, of course, but I think if they are in that kind of a spot, trading him away and getting back some phenomenal value would definitely be worth it. And if they were able to get back, more than this kind of a package with him being a rental, I would not be against that at all, especially with the fact that even if they did trade him away, they still would have the opportunity to, maybe re-sign him back possibly in the offseason or more likely just go out there and sign back some other star kind of player. So I think there are a lot of options for this team, but the haul that would get back in return possibly for Panarin if things don't work out there with an extension definitely could make a whole lot of sense for this team to kind of do. And another reason for trading him away or kind of not re-signing him would, of course, be the cap space that you're saving. And hypothetically, if some of these superstar kind of players do reach free agency, guys like Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, even like a Martin Necas, for example, there are some really good players that may end up becoming available. And that's kind of the big question right now. Will they actually end up becoming available? Because guys like last season, Mikko Rantanen were supposed to become available. Guys like Aaron Ekblad, Brad Marchand, Sam Bennett. There were supposed to be a lot of really good free agents that were going to hit the market, but of course, a lot of them did not. So I think that's a big question, and you definitely can't go into the offseason kind of banking on and expecting one of these kind of big four guys, especially to hit free agency, because it's more likely than not they'll probably end up re-signing a deal, and even a guy like Kyle Connor may end up re-signing with the Jets, but maybe they look to ship him off at some point there if they don't have a great start and they end up kind of shipping him off and he signs a deal with his new team like Mikko Rantanen did. So there definitely is the possibility where we don't see any of these big kind of names actually hit the market there, which would be disappointing as a Rangers fan because this is a team that has the kind of capabilities of attracting these superstar kind of players. And if they do have the cap space available, I'm sure will be in some of the kind of top destinations for them. But I think overall, it really just kind of does depend on kind of what is Panarin looking for in his next deal. And also, is he willing to take any sort of a discount to stay with this team? And now for the reasons to keep him, and there definitely are plenty. First off, this is, like I said, the guy who has consistently been the team's top point producer over the last 6 consecutive seasons. So first off, you're losing your top offensive threat, which would be a major loss for a team that has already had some kind of flaws offensively, right? This team has in the past had problems scoring at 5-on-5, especially, and this past season, the power play took a big hit as well. So losing a guy like Artemi Panarin is not going to help in either of those areas, scoring in the power play or scoring at 5-on-5. So re-signing him does make a lot of sense, of course. And, you also got to factor in that it does seem like sometimes maybe if you do have a couple, for example, Russian players, maybe you do have a bit of a leg up in kind of recruiting and kind of attracting some other certain Russian players maybe to kind of join the Rangers, like obviously having Igor and Panarin already maybe helped out with kind of attracting a guy like Gavrikov a little bit there, it seemed like. And another big reason to also re-sign him as well and not kind of let him walk to free agency is the fact that, I am kind of expecting guys like, more than likely, Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, and especially, Jack Eichel, those 3 players, I all think are going to sign extensions. I don't want them to, of course. I would rather see them all hit the market there and possibly join the Rangers, of course, but I just think those 3 guys, especially McDavid, Kaprizov, and Eichel, are probably going to sign new extensions with their current teams. Kyle Connor, I kind of wonder about there. We saw Nikolai Ehlers, of course, walk away for nothing this current offseason, I guess. So that's another possibility there with him. Maybe that happens again for the Jets, so that would kind of suck for them. But I just don't see McDavid, Kaprizov, Reichel hitting the market there. If it does happen, great, but I just don't think it's too realistic. So keeping a guy like Panarin on this team does make a lot of sense because you may not end up having the option of going after a different superstar guy, right? You may just be stuck with, like a Panarin and then maybe like just a Martin Necas and then some guys after that who are decent, but, it kind of falls off pretty quickly. So I don't quite think that it is a great idea to go into next offseason with the intention on just trying to go out there and, kind of letting him walk for nothing and then just sign a different guy back. So I really do kind of hope they either kind of make up their mind there and either have him extended or have him traded away, ideally before the trade deadline, of course, but we'll have to wait and see kind of where this team is at, whether or not they're in any kind of, playoff kind of mode there or kind of selling mode, buying mode. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, definitely, I do want to say thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are a New York Rangers fan, definitely don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content, as I do post a video about the Rangers every single day. And also, of course, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on the New York Rangers possibly re-signing Artemi Panarin and giving him a contract extension or possibly trading him away. Which one do you want to see happen? And also, what kind of a trade would you want to see him traded away for? Do you want to see it be like picks and prospects, more kind of win-now players, young players? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.